voice clear? Is my voice clear? Is my screen visible to all, right? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Every organization use case has got data and operations. Data represented using data types or variables. Operations represented using functions. So in yesterday I was saying, right, in Python, generally x equal to 10. So what value you are assigning to x, based on the value assigned, the variable x is going to get created dynamically. If you are assigning integer value, integer variable is created here. There is a function called type function in Python. Type of x is what type? Integer. Why it is integer? Because integer value is assigned to it. Y equal to 4.5. Type of y is what type of variable created? Float variable is created, right? Yes. Z equal to hello. HELLO, right? Type of Z is what type? Yes, type of Z is what type? String type. Why it is string? Because yes, you are assigning a string to Z, so type of Z will be string. Here, type of Y will be float. Type of X integer, type of Y is float, type of Z is string. Based upon the value assigned, the variables are created dynamically here in Python. No need to define the data types, int or float or string, right? Yes. Dynamic data types, right? Yes. Right. Okay. That's why we call it as dynamic data types. Dynamic data types means dynamically based on the value assigned, the variables X, Y, and Z, they are going to get created. That's why we say dynamic data types in Python, right? Yes. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to discuss 4 cases, right, to make you much more clear on this data types and how exactly the variables are getting stored, right? How to print their values, how to print their address, and how to print their types, right? So case 1, right? Case 1. If I'm saying like x equal to 10, observe here, whenever I'm defining a variable x equal to 10, internally one object is going to get created with value 10. Internally, one object gets created with value 10. It's going to have some address. The address is given to x. The address is given to x. Here, what x is storing, everyone try to answer. So now from here onwards, you can just keep interacting, right? I want the sessions to be interactive. So just you can give your responses through voice by unmuting, or you can give a response through chat panel. You can type your response in the chat, or you can unmute and you can answer, right? Yes. So x is 10, yes. What x is storing? Don't say like x is storing 10. X stores this address. Observe here, x stores this address. 3 things you need to understand here. Whenever I say print x, means it goes to this address and prints the content whatever present at that address. Print x means prints the content, at that address, at that address, whatever at that address, right? Yes. What is the content? 10. It goes to this address and prints the content whatever present at that address. Yes. Whenever I say print x, yeah, we're defining variables, data types and variables in Python. We say x equal to 10, one object created with some value 10 with some address. Whenever I say print x, it goes to this address and prints whatever content at that address. Prints the content at that address, that is 10. Print ID of x. Prints address of x. Prints the address of x, right? What is the address? 104090, right? 1040 and 90. Print type of x. Print type of x. 1 second. Print type of x. What is the type? Prints the data type of x. Data type of x is what type? Int type. So how to print the content? Print x means, see, whenever you store x equal 10, one object gets created with value 10, it's going to have some address. Print x prints the content at that address. What is that? 10. Print ID of x. ID is a function of Python, right? To print the address of x. Type of x, right? What's the prints the data type of x? Okay. This case one, right? Now observe this case two. Case two. X is 10 and y is 20. How many objects will be created? Yes, I want responses from you. Just how many objects? X is 10, y is 20. How many objects are going to get created? Yes. For 10, one object with value 10. For 20, one object to 20. Two objects will be created, right? Yes, it's going to have some address. It's going to occupy some physical memory location address. This y equal 20 also will have some address. So yes. Now, two different variables, x and y, with two different values, 10, 20, with two different values, 10 to two different addresses. Two different variables, different values, two different objects with two different addresses. Try to answer what is x value, print x. Yes, try to answer. Print x, what is the value? 10. 10. Right. Print address of x, ID of x is what?
103070.
103070. Type, data type of x. Data type of x. Yes.
Integer.
What value was assigned to x? Integer. Print y means it goes to this address. Print y means it goes to this address, prints whatever value presented there.
20.
Print ID of y. Type of y is what type? Integer type. Yes, that is case 2, right? Yes, case 3. Next, observe this case 3. X, okay, case 3, right? X value is 10. Y is 10. Now try to answer how many objects are going to get created. Yes, everyone.
2.
Observe carefully here. Only one object is going to get created. First, one object 10 with some address. The address is given to X. One object gets. Before creating object for Y, it checks any object with value 10 is already available. If already available, the same address will be given to Y. One more object with value 10 won't be created. If X is 10, Y is 10, Z is 10, don't think three objects with value 10 will be created. Only one object with value 10 will be created. Same address will be given by X, Y, and Z. For example, if X is 10, Y is 20, Z is 30, how many objects will be created? 10, 20, 30, 3 objects. But if X is 10, Y is 10, Z is 10, how many objects? Only one. Means if the contents are same, one object. Contents are different, multiple objects will be created. Here X, Y, and Z, they are sharing the same content 10. They are sharing the same address, right? Yes. Print X equal to print Y equal to print Z equal to what is that value? 10. Print ID of X. ID of X, ID of Y, ID of Z. 103070. They are sharing the same. Type of X, type of Y, and type of Z. I'll show you all these things practically, right? Yes. Type of X, type of Y, and type of Z. Integer type. Yes. Now observe this case 4. Next, case 4, right? Yes. So if the contents are same, one object. If contents are different, multiple objects. Okay, case 4. Observe this case 4, right? Observe this. X value is 10 and X value is 20. How many objects will be created? Yes. How many objects will be created?
One only, sir.
X equal to 10, one object with value 10 with some address. X equal to 20, one more object with value 20. Values are different, right? Different objects with different addresses. But up to here, it's
But value is updated.
so print X means what is the X value it prints?
20.
Always the latest value will be printed, right? Type of X 104090, right? Sorry, ID of X.
Idea.
Type of X will be what type?
Print type.
This is fine. Okay, always it takes the latest value. What happens to the previous object? If I want to, is there any chance of printing the value of the previous object? What happens to the previous object? So to know what happens to this previous object, there is a small concept we need to discuss, right? Garbage collector. So garbage collector. So it's too early to discuss that, but as I'll give overview as of now, later as part of our course, we'll be discussing in brief in depth about it, right? Yes. I'm sorry. Now observe. To understand what happens to the previous orbit, I'll go back to this case 3. X is 10, Y is 10, Z is 10. If you want to understand about garbage collector, what is a garbage collector means? Removes unused objects. Removes unused objects or unreferred objects from the memory. Removes unused objects or unreferred objects from the memory. What do you mean by unused objects or unreferred objects? Objects whose reference count is 0, then we call them as unused or unreferred objects. Objects whose reference count is 0, then immediately objects whose reference count is 0, then immediately that object then immediately that object is removed by the garbage collector. Objects whose reference count is 0, right? Then immediately that object is removed. Immediately that object is removed. then immediately that object is removed by the garbage collector, by the garbage collector. Whose reference count is 0, then immediately that object is removed by the garbage collector. What do you mean by reference count becomes 0? An object whose reference count becomes 0, then immediately that object is removed by the garbage collector. What is reference count becoming 0, right? What is the reference count becoming 0?
Address not used in any of the variable.
Okay. Reference count. Observe this. I'm writing. What do you mean by reference count? Reference count means number of variables pointing to an object. Number of variables pointing to an object. Number of variables pointing to how many variables are pointing to an object, or number of variables storing address of an object. Number of variables storing address of an object. Okay. So here, how many variables are pointing to an object? How many variables are storing the address of an object will give the reference count. Observe this, right? Now everyone try to answer to understand what do you mean by reference count, and when the garbage collector removes an object, try to understand this too. So to understand reference count, observe this object 10. Observe this object 10, right? How many variables are pointing to this object? How many variables are pointing to this object? Yes,
Three.
three variables. X is pointing to this object, Y is pointing, Z is pointing, right? So reference count is 3. How many variables are storing this object address? See, reference count means number of variables pointing to an object or number of variables storing. X is storing this object address. Y also storing the same object address. Z also storing the same object address. X is pointing, Y is pointing, Z is pointing to the same object address, right? So reference count is 3. So reference count is what? 3. Now slowly what I will do, now how this object is going to get removed. I want to remove this object. If you want to remove this object, right, slowly, a reference count should become 0. Then automatically garbage cutter removes this object 10. Now the reference count is 3. How to make the reference count 0 means when here XYZ, now slowly I'm modifying the Y value to 20. I'm modifying the Y value to 20 means new object is created 20. New object 20 is created with some new address. That address is given to Y. Now Y is storing the new object address. Y is not pointing to this object 10 now. Y is not pointing to this object 10. Y is made to point to the new object 20. What is the reference count now of this object 10? How many variables are pointing?
2.
Two variables only, x and z only, right? Previously x, y, z were pointing, now x and z reference count is 2. Slowly I modified the z value also to 30. Means now one object 30 is created. The address is given to z. Now z is pointing to the new object 30. Now z is not pointing to this. Z is not pointing to this. Z is not pointing to this reference. Now, what is the reference count?
1.
The reference count is 1. Only x is pointing. Y and z, they are pointing to the new objects. Y and z, they are pointing to the new objects. Now, slowly I modify the x value also to 50. A new object 50 is created with some new address. The new address is given to x. Now, x is pointing to the new objects. X is not pointing to this old object, right? What is the reference count now?
0.
0. None of the variables are pointing to this object. None of the variables are storing this object address. X, Y, Z were pointing. Now X, Y, Z, they are pointing to the new objects. Now this object is unused object or unreferred object. This object is unused object or unreferred objects, right? Okay. Unused means whenever reference count becomes 0, then immediately garbage collector removes this object from this memory. Whenever any object reference count becomes 0, then immediately garbage collector removes that object from the memory. We call this as unused, or means this object is unused or unreferred. It is not used by any variable. It is not referred by any of this. So it is unused or unreferred object. So reference count is 0, right? Understood everyone? Any query in this? How an object is going to get removed? Initially, the reference count was 3. Slowly, new variables created. Now they are storing this new object. Now, this reference count became 0. Garbage collector removes the object from the memory. Understood, right, everyone? Any query in this? Yes. What do you mean by garbage collector removing unused or unreferred objects? What do you mean by reference count means number of variables pointing to an object? So I'll just we'll discuss more on this in our regular session, right? Regular topic. But now I give an overview of it, right? Try to answer now. Yes. Now coming back to this case 4.
Sir, can you repeat once again the garbage collector? What confusing one?
Garbage collector. Yes. Hello.
New page, can you once again?
Garbage collector means removes unused or unreferred objects. What do you mean by unused or unreferred objects? Yes, Mr. Kiran. Unused or unreferred objects means whose reference count is 0. We call them as unused or unreferred. Whose reference count is 0. We call them as unused or unreferred. Reference count is what do you mean by reference count becoming 0, or what do you mean by reference count means how many variables pointing to an object? How many variables pointing to an object will give the reference count? Or how many variables storing what? So to understand what is this reference count, object 10 is there. X is pointing to it, Y is pointing to it, Z is pointing to it. So 3 variables are pointing to this object. Reference count is 3. But whenever a new Y equal to 20, if you are saying, right, a new object 20 got created, a new object 20 got created with this address. Y is pointing to the new object 20. Now Y is not pointing to this new object 10. Y is not pointing to this object 10. Now what is the reference count of this 10 object? 2, right? X and Z only pointing, Y is pointing to the new object 20. Reference count is what? 2. Now slowly Z value of modified to 30. A new object 30 created. Now Z is pointing to the new object, but it is not pointing to the old object. Previously it was pointing to the old object. Now it is pointing to the new object. So what is the reference count of this object 10? 1, right? Only X is pointing. Y and Z, they are pointing to the new objects. Now, slowly you modified the X value also to 50. A new object 50 created with some new address. Now X is pointing to this new object 50. X is not pointing to this.
Yeah, no.
So reference count becomes 0. Whenever any object reference count becomes 0, then this object is going to get removed by the garbage collector, right? Understood everyone, right? Yes.
Sir, one
So-
question.
Yes.
So can we move these 3 variables to another new object, or we should move one by one?
Already 3 objects are there, right? 20, 10, 30, 20, 30, and 50. 3 objects are. 3 new objects are created.
Instead of assigning new values to each object, can we assign X equal to Y equal to Z equal to as 20, so that 3 variables will move to new object at a time?
X equal, yes, all the 3, then that new object reference count will be 3. This whole object
Okay, sir.
reference count will become 0.
Okay, sir.
That's right.
Yeah.
The next X and this 3 X, Y, Z were pointing to this 10, right? Now you are saying X, Y, and Z, they'll be pointing to the new object 20. Now the none of the variables pointing to this 10.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now based on this, right, we'll go back to the case 4. I was just asking a query, right, on case 4. What happens to the previous object to 10? Forget about this object 20 for some time. First say me about this 10. Now, how many variables are pointing to this object 10? What is the reference count of this object 10? Right? Yes.
1.
Only one variable is pointing, right? Only X is pointing, right? So reference count is 1, right? So slowly reference count is 1. Slowly I modified and said X equal to 20. Now X is pointing to the new object 20. X can store only one object address. X is pointing to the new object. X is not pointing to this old object, right? So what is the reference count now?
0.
0. Whenever reference count 0 means immediately the garbage cutter removes this object. So what is the X value? 20 only. Yes. So just I was asking what happens to the previous object means it gets removed. Now I'm going to show you all these 4 cases practically now, right? So yesterday I showed you how to install Python, right? Yes. Whenever we install Python, go to the start programs. Check where your Python is available here. Python 3.11, right? 0.10. So Python will be open, but here go to the start programs, check where your Python is available within this, right? And go to click this Python 3.0. Ideally, click that ideally, right? Python shell will be open in this way, right? Later, I need to say file, new file, right? File, new file, right? Here I can write the code. Here I can run this code here, right? So case one, observe this case one. What is case one? Defining a variable. Defining a variable, right? Yes. X equal to 10. Print X, type of X. Print X, type of X. ID of X. Print X, type of X, ID of X. Save it, Control S. Match. Into one dot py. Print X means print 10. Type of X is what type? Integer type. Address where exactly it is stored. Run module.
ନା ନା ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ଖାଇବି ଦେଲ କଣ ପିଞ୍ଚି
Print X.
ଜମା ଖାଇବିନି ତାପରେ ସେ ତରକାରୀ ତ
Priya Batra, please be in mute. Print X means 10. Type of X integer. Address where exactly it is stored. This is the address, right? Yes, this is fine. This is case one. Case two is what? Observe this case two, everyone. Two different variables, X, Y, with two different values, two different objects, two different addresses, right? Yes. File, new file. Case two. Defining two different variables, two different variables. Defining two different variables with two different values. Defining two different variables with two different values, then two different objects gets created. Two different objects gets created. Two different values, then two different objects gets created with two different addresses. X is 10 and Y is 20. Two different values, two different objects. X. Now try to say print X, type of X, address of Okay, X is 10, Y is 20. Print X, type of X, idea, print Y, a type of Y. Can you please answer this address of X, address of Y? Is it same or different? Everyone, try to answer. Address of X and address of Y will be same or different?
Different.
Different, right? Because different values, different objects, different addresses. Observe this file. Without saving, we cannot run this, right? Save first. Run module, right? 10 is integer, 20 is integer, right? Yes. Two different 10, 20 integer addresses are different.
Can I give like print x comma y? Like instead of writing 2 times.
Yes, you can print X comma Y, address of X comma address of Y. Yes, that is the print X comma Y here, type of X comma type of Y you can print, address of X comma address of Y, you can do it. Now observe this case 3, right? X value, X, Y value, same. X and Y values are going to be same values. Yes. Now just try to answer this. X and Y values are same means how many objects? Two different variables with same values, 10 and 10. Two different variables with same values. Two different variables with same values, then only one object. Only one object gets created. Address is returned to address is returned, right? Both. Two different variables with same values, then only one object and only one address, right? X is 10, Y is 10. Now try to answer everyone. Address of this X and address of this Y, is it same or different? Everyone. Address of X and address of Y, is it same, right? It has to be same. Must be run module 10 and 10. So same integer, the address also same. Address is same, type is same, content is same. Yes. Observe this case 4, right? Defining two variables with same name. Two variables with same name, but with different values. Defining two variables with same name, but with different values. Two variables with same, but with different values, then two different objects. Two different objects gets created. Two different objects gets created. And its address. Two different objects gets created and its address. Okay. And the previous object gets removed. Sorry. So here, right. Different. So see this case for once, everyone. Observe this case for x is 10, x is 20. Always the latest value will be printed. The previous object gets removed. So two different objects gets created and the previous object gets removed. X is 10 and x is 20. Always the latest value is going to print x means 20. Address type of x is integer. Address of x means the latest one. Twenty, yes. Type is what type? Integer type. Type integer, it's address, right? Understood all these four cases, everyone? Any queries in these four cases?
No, sir.
Case 1, 2, 3, and so I got one query in case 3, right? X is 10, y is 10. The address of x and y same or different?
It's same.
Same.
X is 10, y is 10. Same object, only one object, one address. So it is same, right? Observe once, run module. Same. It's ending with 984, ending with 984. Yes. Now, if I use y is 10.0, now try to say 10.0. Now, address of x and y, is it same or different?
Different.
Before you answer, right? What is type of y?
Float.
Float.
Float object. Type of x?
Integer.
Integer object. So the addresses will, so type of x is integer, type of y is float.
Sir, in case of case number 4, how do we get to know that the object got is connected?
What is that?
So case number 4, different values assigned to the same variable. So
X is,
how do we know
X is 10 and what is that? X is 10, X is 20. Case 4.
x equal to 10, x equal to 20?
Yes. What you want in that? To always the latest
So-
value will be.
Yes, so how do we know that the earlier objects, which is x equal to 10, got garbage?
So print x means 10 times you print or 20 times you print, always it prints the 20. After 20 address only. X can store only one value. X can previously X value was 10. For example, your salary last year 50,000. Your salary currently it is 80,000. Print salary means it prints the latest salary 80,000. But if you want the previous salary and current salary, both if you want to access in your program, so you need to say prev salary, current salary, and prevent, but you cannot give the same name, right? If you are giving x and x means, for example, if you want x is 10, x is 20, if you want to access both 10 and 20, give x and y. If you are giving x and x, always the latest one only will be considered. Previous one will be removed. X can store only one value, right? One address. So compulsory, if you are giving the same name, means the previous one will get removed. Okay. So here 10.0 means float object, here 10 means integer object, two different objects, right? So two different addresses. Observe this output, run module. Okay, fine. Understood everyone, how to define what happens, how to print the type of a variable, the value of a variable, the address of a variable, what happens internally when you define some variables. I showed you practical. So more discussion about this. We'll be discussing more on these types, right? Fundamental types, collection types. We have got many fundamentals. Okay, the next two class will be on Monday. Tomorrow, Saturday, there is no session. I'll be busy with the weekend classes. The next class will be on Monday, same time at 9 p.m. You can follow the same link, right? But Monday will be the last session, right? But from Tuesday onwards, the link is going to be changed. So those who got enrolled, only those they will be getting the link. So those who already got enrolled by paying that fees, right after Monday, you'll be getting a new link, right, to your mail IDs with whatever you have registered. See the chart panel, right, for the payment process and the procedure, right? There is a big message given by this online team related to, right?
When will we get the study materials?
So yes, Anjal Hussain, right? Yes. So yes, you can just forward that screenshot, but they'll be forwarding you the link once it's gets created, right? So what is that study material, right? Once you get enrolled, right? So you'll be getting daily videos. You'll be getting every day video session video. You'll be getting notes. You will be getting, right? Topic wise notes you will be getting. Topic wise videos you'll be getting. Notes to your mail ID, videos to your Google Drive, right? Fine.
Sir, this is my first class. I don't know whatever the previous classes are. Where can I find it?
So
My
today,
first demo class.
so today you have attended, right? So
Yeah, for the first.
to your mail IDs, right? By tomorrow morning, you'll be getting the videos of it. The previous.
So
yesterday,
this is
this is the second technical session, right?
okay.
Means yesterday, just I showed you the installation process for the thing. You can go through the video one.
So
Okay.
that first class video, I will get it through email.
So totally introductory sessions, nearly you have got 3 sessions previously, but from yesterday we have just started the course, right? Previously you got some demo sessions, right? What is Python, in what way it is used, right? What are the
Yes.
other things?
From where I will get that those
So
demo classes.
you will be getting the links, video links, right? Tomorrow by morning. Everyone you will be getting the links, previous demo session, right? Previous session videos to your mail ID, to your mail, you will get a mail, right? All the video links will be given in that.
Okay,
Alright.
that will have all this syllabus and the course duration.
So, okay, 1 second. 1 second. Course duration. Duration is for Python core and advanced is 2 months, nearly 70 hours per it. And for full stack total it's 4 months, where you will see web development, Python core, Python advanced, HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, Django, and a project, right? Yes.
Okay, so is this like the course which person who is starting from scratch? This
Yes, people with zero programming, from non-programming background, you can easily step by step. I'll be explaining. Today's class, have you understood or not?
Yeah, sure. Today I had understood.
So the same thing, people who are from non-programming to that, anyone who have got knowledge on this other programming, or if he doesn't have, right, you will be understanding.
So, sir, just
Sir,
another last one. Like Tampay, Panda, and all this tuple, all these courses will be covered in this syllabus. Hello. Hello.
1 second, I'll show you, right, what is the course content I'm going to discuss. 1 second, I'll show you. Just 1 second.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Sir, if we have paid for only core and advanced, and after this 2 month completion of 2 months, can we extend that program by paying additional 5,000?
1 second. Yeah, 1 second. So this is the course content, right? You can take this course content. So starting with the Python basics, you can compare this course content with the other training sites, right? It will be, this will be in brief, in depth, right? Nearly 30 modules, right? Python basics, Python operations, operators, IDs in real time, right? We'll work with different IDs, Anaconda distribution, Jupyter, Spider, Eclipse, NetBeans. I'll be showing you the installation process, downloading, how to download, how to install, and basic Python like flow control statements, looping statements, strings, string indexing, string slicing, string functions, string methods, string collections in Python, right? Yes. And Python lists. So Python lists, list indexing, list slicing, list functions, list methods, nested list, list addresses, list modifications, tuples, sets, dictionaries, functions, different ways of creating functions, types of functions, lambda function, reduce function, filter function, map function, zip function, types of arguments, modules in Python. Python has got great boom because of this. Packages in Python, errors and exceptions, right? Exception handling in Python, and file handling to working with different types of files, object-oriented programming concepts in brief, right? In depth, regular expressions, how to extract required data from the given data, database connectivity, how Python going to connect with database, installation of one database, and working with SQL operations, and Python date and time module, right? Python OS module, different types of models related to different environments I'll be discussing. Some models related to date time, some models related to OS, some models related to regular expression, some related to database, some related to data science, some related to big data, and how to create some related to graphics, and how to create our own modules, right? OS module, advanced concepts like iterator, generator, closers, and decorator, web scraping, working with CSV, XML, JSON files, GUI programming, right? And Excel workbook, Excel, working with Excel workbook, data analytics, right? Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, introduction to data science. Someone asked about this NumPy, Pandas, and Matplotlib, everything in brief. Pandas model, creating data frames from list, from series, from CSV, from JSON, date functionality, right? Time delta, right? Converting date frames from lists, and NumPy model in brief, Matplotlib model in brief, right? Plottings and visualizations. This is Python core and advanced, right? 70 hours of course. 70. It's not 45 hours, 1.5 months or 2 months. 2 to 2.5 months we spend on this Python. And Django, like introduction frameworks, Django installation frame architecture, Django applications, Django views, templates, admin. Yes.
Sir, is this only Python or Python automation? I mean Python Selenium?
So it's not Python Selenium, Python and Python framework, right? Like Django framework, full stack Python.
Okay.
It's total full stack Python, total for Python will be covered, Python framework will be covered, and UI technologies like, okay, after this UI technologies like HTML in brief, CSS in brief, Bootstrap and JavaScript, and MySQL database will be covered. Totally, we will be discussing 5 modules: Python core, Python advanced, web technologies like HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, Django framework, right, and MySQL database and project, right? Totally 2 months for Python core and advanced, 2 months for this the remaining things, right? Totally for full stack, it's 4 months, right? So as I already said, like for Python, it's an offer batch, it's just 5,000 fees for Python core in advance for the 70-80 hours. So yes. So I said like Python core advanced and application oriented models for this nearly 70 hours we'll be spending. So nearly it takes 2 months of time, 2 months or just 5,000, right? Yes. And this
So
one.
we,
Apart from this, who wants to go for full stack Python, right? Full stack, total full stack, right? So like we'll be discussing like first web technologies, you need to have the knowledge of like designing, developing a web page, right? We'll be showing HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, inbuilt. So CSS cascading style sheets inbuilt. So Bootstrap inbuilt styles you can see, right? And JavaScript. Apart from this, Django framework of Python, right? For developing web applications. Right. So in this nearly we will be discussing 15 to 20 applications creations plus project is going to be covered for all this, right? So the fee structure is 7K. So, but 7K. So instead of 5 and 7, 12K. If you have one-time payment, if you are doing, it's like the 10K, right? So it's income for okay. 7K and this Python 5K, it's 12K. So if you are paying total full stack, it is just for full stack, this 10K. But if you are taking separately, right, Python comes for 5K. This total web technology, HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, Django, Project, everything you need to pay for 7K. So just, yes.
Sir, is there a project on Python? If someone is opting only for Python, so is there any project?
So this is project, right? Project will be discussed here. So this Python, say 1 second, you only Python is not going to fetch you anything, right? Using Python, it is not going to fetch, right? So whenever you learn Python, there are two categories of people who wants to update with Python, right? First category of people, right? They will learn Python core and advanced, and they will move towards data science, where the total implementation is in Python language. Big data, right? Big data environment like Spark, PySpark, right? And writing automations within this AWS DevOps and IoT, robotics. The total this implementation goes in Python, right? So people learn Python core and advanced and move towards this data science, big data, where their career won't be in Python. Their career will be in data science or big data, or DevOps or IoT or robotics, right? Robotics with Python, there are huge packages, nearly 40 lakh packages are there. If you have got knowledge on this robotics with Python, IoT for all the second category of people who wants to have a career in Python, right? You want to become a Python developer, Python full stack developer, Python developer, right? Those persons who wants to have a career in Python, compulsory they need to have knowledge on full stack. The others who wants to go for data science, big data, only Python is enough. Then you don't need to go for full stack. You are not going to develop any web applications in data science or in big data, right? So people who wants to have job in Python, who wants to have, if you want to develop a project in Python. So here people, first category of people who learn only Python, they will do projects in data science. If you see like, if you see the BTech final year, third year students, they do projects Python with AI, Python with machine learning, deep learning, and big data. People, you need to go Python who have, they need to do projects with data science, big data, or in these things, right? But if you want pure Python projects, you need to have web development, how to develop a project, application, web application, interactive web applications, right? We need to have compulsory knowledge on the Django framework, the framework for developing web application, right? And for that, you need to, the prerequisites are HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, that will be discussed, right? Along with that, at last, I'll be discussing a project, right? Full-fledged project using the Django and Python, right? This what? Fine. So people who wants to complete the course within 2.5 months, total full stack, right? With 2 months or 2.5 months, right? In Monday to Friday, you can attend Python. Saturday and Sunday weekend classes will be there on this web technologies, UI technologies, Django full stack, right? 2 hours on Saturday, 2 hours on Sunday, or 2.5 hours on Saturday, 2.5 hours on Sunday. All 5 hours will be there. Okay, you can go parallelly if you want to. If you have got any urgency, right? Just go for that. Right?
Sir, can you
Yeah.
share the link for the weekend classes for registration?
There is okay. So last Saturday there was introduction given to on Django framework, right? If anybody wants to, means if you already got enrolled and if you want to go immediately with the Django, right? Fine. So
Yes, sir.
So for Python, it will be in weekdays.
Python weekdays, Monday to Friday. So Django, right? Saturday, Sunday, you can go. Parallel, you can go. Otherwise, after completing of Python, you can go. Or during this next 1 month, if I start any Django batch, you can attend any. Once you get enrolled, you can attend any of my Django batch, which is going to start if you want to go parallelly, right? And Python also, once you got enrolled, because of some shift change, you are unable to attend my evening class, you can attend my morning classes also if any new batch is started. If because of any shift change or any job, any timings problems, right? You can just attend. Fine. For any revision purpose also, you can attend my batch, next batch, other batches, right?
So, sir, without learning Python fully, can we learn Django? Because prerequisite should be.
So whenever you are learning Python, immediately you Django won't be discussed, right? You need to go through that HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, right? Where Python is not required for that. You'll be going with that first. HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, and JavaScript will be discussed first. So when Python code is discussed, by the time Python code is completed, that and the two introduction to Django architecture, Django that project, what are that project that it will be there, right? It also takes some time by the time full-fledged web development applications creation. And that too, you won't see much coding you see in Django framework. All the pre-written already the .py files will be available. No need to write, right? People, you can go parallelly, not a problem. By the time you will be going with UI technologies first.
Is
That is-
MySQL included in Django course, sir?
In Python, I'll be discussing MySQL, and in Django totally without database, we cannot develop a web application, right? So MySQL I'll be using more, right? So MySQL I'll be discussing both in Python. In Python I'll be discussing, and also in Django also I'll be discussing Python, right? Yes. In Python itself, we'll be covering this MySQL part. Python database connectivity is there. Before that, I'll be going with the database installation base, that total that base the database operations I'll be discussing, right? Database connectivity, installation of MySQL database, how to install, how to download, how to install, creating databases, installing all this, right? Working with the database operations, all this. MySQL also will be covered, right? Fine. So we'll continue this on Monday. Monday will be the last session. Like next from Tuesday, the link will be changing, right? So get enrolled, and so just you can compare this course contents with the other training sites. We'll be discussing in brief, in depth, right? And people like modules like NumPy, data analytics, NumPy module, plottings and visualization modules, matplotlib, and Pandas model also covered in brief, in depth, right? Okay. And I also handle data analytics, right? Spark with Python, PySpark. Tomorrow if anybody who are from data, so if you want to go for data engineering, right? So there is a weekend batches. Weekend batches are starting, right? Weekends, right? Tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon, big data analytics. Big data analytics, right? And 6 p.m. there is a Spark with Python, PySpark, Spark with Python, right? People who go for big data analytics, where you will be learning Hadoop and Spark. Hadoop and Spark. Both will be discussed using Python. Spark using Python, right? Tomorrow there is a new batch, weekend batch starting for this, right? Okay, big data analytics, those people who, if anyone interested, right, you can, the link also will be provided to you if anyone interested for big data analytics. Right? You can check that DURGASOFT website for that link.
I have
Yeah.
a question. I need to talk to someone about the payment because I sent the payment and they said that it needs to be approved, but they have to approve it on their end.
The contact details are given right in the chart panel. You can just call them, right? So
I tried contacting them and emailing and I haven't gotten a response. And I'm also taking another class and I sent the payment and it got canceled because they didn't accept it on time.
so yes, 1 second. So not a worry, right? Yes, not a worry. The people, everyone, generally they'll be responding to when the new link is created. They'll be sending the new link, right? But the new link will be created on Monday. I don't know. You'll be given with the new link on Monday. The new link will be created, right? So now you can see in the chart panel, the online team has forwarded the recorded video session, and the course content link is given, and that recording link is given, right? Yes.
Because I don't want the link to change if because I won't miss the class.
Yes. You can have that contact details, right? Yes. Contact details are there. You can just contact them. Yes. Still, if anytime after you got enrolled, right? Still, if anybody has not received the link, and if you are about to miss the class, right? You can just, in the extreme case, you can ping on my number. This is fine. Okay, fine, that's
Okay.
fine. So
Thank you.
I'm stopping for now. We'll continue, right? Yes, on Monday.